Hey, I'd like to talk about how I had automated my Japanese learning, which, by the way, is a clickbaity title. But I want to talk about some tools that I made that kind of helped me out. So, first of all, this is not an app that I made. I wish I could make something so good, but this is called Anki, and it's an application that's used a lot in the learning community. So, how it works when I make my flashcards, I have a sentence with all the kanji and everything. So I'm gonna embarrass myself, but I guess this is like um let's see if I can read it or not, right? So koji de uh tutsi o hotta. Okay, yeah. So and then I can check with the furigana if I read the kanji correctly. And there's also the English translation. So I make a lot of those flashcards, and I also have some I downloaded myself. Um, Ima koso subete o abako. This is from Death Note musical. So anyway, so uh, you can create those cards. Uh, you can see that there's the expression, which is the sentence, and then the reading and the meaning. So if I were to use like a sentence from NHK Easy, if I want to make it myself, I would have to paste in the sentence and then figure out how the kanji is read. Obviously, this is a really easy sentence, but just to show you, I have to, type in everything, all the hiragana on how to read all the kanji. So this can obviously take some time. It's time consuming. So but it works, you can do it, and you can read. A lot of people give carnations or other flowers to their mother as a present. That's good to know. So yeah, that's how you would make a card manually. So I'm just gonna discard it. So what one thing I made early on, or earlier on, I would say, is this study card generator. So I can just paste this in and click the button, and it actually uses ChatGPT to generate this. So you can see that the meaning is pretty much what I said it was, which is good. So considering, and then there's the reading as well. So the furigana is added for the kanji. So if I drag this into my Anki, you'll see that it will generate this card. So again, let me change my deck. So you can see that it's generated the card, and you can see like the furigana is there as well. So you can check and see if you can read it correctly. So that is something I made before, but and yeah, this works, and I use it a lot, especially when I read manga. uh, I can't copy and paste, but I'll just type in the sentence from the manga and create flashcards like that. So I can create like 10 or 20 flashcards each time. So that's pretty good. It would take a lot longer if I had to add all the reading and everything myself. But typically, I do use a dictionary while I'm reading to understand anyway. So that's one thing I did. And then I thought, well, you have to spend a lot of time to go and read things and make your flashcards. So, which I think is good because you can learn by reading and seeing what you don't know, and obviously you can also check your existing knowledge by reading. So, but I actually made the lazy person's version of this work. So what I did is I automated that process. So as you can see, this is a Python script, and I've used a couple of things. I've used the Anki Connect API to communicate with my Anki application that I used to study, and I used my own API, which is this website's API. More on that later. And I also used something called natural language processing, and in particular I used a Python module called Fugashi. So I'll explain what I do. So basically, first of all, you can see here I built a scraper. So this has two parts. One is a JSON request to get a list of articles and return the news website URL. And then there's some beautiful soup passing to get all the sentences and return basically the whole article as a list of sentences, essentially. Very, very simple. Well, actually, I returned the whole article as one string and then I split it into sentences later on. But anyway, so I get a bunch of sentences from an article, and I get all the sentences from my Anki deck as well, which is a lot more. So the Anki deck, you can see I use Anki Connect to find my deck sentences, and then I return all the sentence values from there. So it's just an API call, pretty simple, but here we have the Anki sentences. And then this is the natural language processing. So I want to know if it's a new word that I don't if the sentence contains any new words that are not already in my deck, then it's something worth learning. If I already know every word, if every word is already on the deck, then there's not really much point most of the time, because I kind of already have another flashcard to study all of those words, right? So, and this is very, very simple. What this does is it gets the words from my existing sentences, and then it gets the words from the article, and it's just a set subtraction to find words that exist in the article that do not exist in my deck. But how are each word recognized? Because when you have verbs or adjectives, you can actually conjugate the verbs. So I eat is the same verb as I ate. So you don't want to have a flashcard with I eat and I ate. It's a waste of time. So this is where I use Fugashi, which is natural language processing. And I use the lemma, which is the word, the base form of the word. But I'm actually looking at the word's features and excluding certain things. So first of all, I'm only having nouns, verbs, and adjectives. I don't care about particles or, prepositions, things like that. I am excluding numbers, like the number 300 could be seen as a word, but I don't care about that. And I'm excluding names, that's proper nouns, which could be a name or a country name, a person's name, a city name, any kind of proper noun. I'm ignoring. And then finally, I'm excluding words that are completely foreign in nature, and symbols. So symbol could be an abbreviation like GDP or something. So I just want to make sure I have real Japanese words to work with. So this is how Fugashi works, and again, this is just a Python module I'm using. But it's really interesting if you care about Python stuff. So okay, so there's importing Fugashi. This is the new tagger object, and I should just type rather than pasting. And then you'd use it like this with a sentence. So this means I eat an apple. I learned that pretty early on. So actually this will be multiple words. You see, Ringo is apple. O is a particle that I don't know, the Japanese teacher can explain it, okay? And then taberu means it, and the order is always backwards, as my teacher says. So then if you want to look at each word, for example, last word is a verb. So let's look at the features to explain how this works. So you can see here it says doshi, this means verb. I know that much. And and a lot of other grammar information if you want to be really nerdy about it, which I do. This is taberu, so it means it. So this is actually really interesting because, like I said, you don't want to add different conjugation of the same verb to your deck. So I changed this to ringo or tabeta. I ate an apple in the past. So if I look at the last word again in the list, which is taberu, or first of all, just to prove that actually, words 2 is yeah. Oh, interesting. Okay, it splits like that. But actually, this is very interesting to know because if you look at the previous example, there's only 3 words, which is ringo or taberu. And if you look at the next example, it's actually 4 words. It actually splits the past tense conjugation into its own word, but it doesn't really matter in our case. All that matters is that taberu is not considered twice. So in my script, I use word.feature.lemma. So so if I take the word which is this is from tabeta, you see it still turns into taberu. So what I mean is both of those sentences have the same base form, which is taberu, to eat. So if you had a list of, if you had those 2 sentences and compared the words, there would actually not be any new words because actually there is a new word, which is this ta, past tense conjugation. But if you remember earlier, I actually ignore certain things. So this is a helper a helper verb, I guess, but this is not in the word features that I allow. So this is why I completely ignore this like helper word, and the rest of the sentence is the same, so no new words would be added. Inflecting dependent word, bound auxiliary, it's that thing. Yeah, okay, sure, I completely understand what that means. So this is a lot of stuff to say that this is how I check if there are like new words in my vocabulary or not. And to prove that further, I will import my function here. So let's try again. So I already had my sentences, right? So new sentence list equals ringo or taberu. And my existing sentence list, like let's say this was already in my Anki deck, and I found the new sentence, this one, in my article. So if I call this moment of truth, you can see that there's no new words. So even though the verb is conjugated differently, there's no new words correctly. Okay, that's good to know. It works. So then if I add something else, what else do people eat? Strawberries, right? So you can see that there is a new word, which is ichigo. You can see it. I also return which the new word or words are. So in this sentence, the new word would be ichigo. So if this was my Anki deck, this sentence would be added into my deck because it contains a new word, even though everything else about the sentence is exactly the same. So this is how I can automatically find new words. And again, I wouldn't necessarily recommend this as a way to learn properly, but if you're lazy, you can just run this whole script, and you can see that I'm scraping the news websites. I'm getting, it actually happens really, really quickly, but this is like the words that that are, you know, in the article, all the different words, like this is year, and then you can see that after I have those words, those are the sentences with new words that did not exist in my deck already. And then you can see that I am finally using my Anki Maker API from earlier, which uses ChatGPT to create the flashcard reading and meaning. And then I'm finally adding the whole sentences to my Anki deck. So this whole script basically opened the news website for me, found a few articles, found a few new words, and added them to my deck just by running one script to do all that work. And if I browse the deck, you can see what's been added today. So you can see that indeed this was in the sentences earlier. You can see this noberu in kai, and yeah, you can see that it's here as well. So the Nobel Committee, and select the Nobel Peace Prize every year. So I've actually never seen this before. Okay, I understand what it means. Obviously, this means Peace Prize. Anyway, yeah, so it works in finding new words because, you know, this was not in my deck before. You can see this is the only deck where the only card where it exists, and it only just, you can see it just got created now, 12:33, just when I ran my script, basically. So that's it. Again, I wouldn't say that this is something that people should use, and I don't think it's something I want to use a lot because I prefer to read and, you know, actually read rather than just automatically make a bunch of Anki cards. I feel like there's efficiency and there's too much efficiency maybe, but you know, it was nice to play around with natural language processing and AI and everything. So I can say that I've made an AI agent now. So thank you for watching, and yeah, hope you enjoyed.